So guys, welcome to the first ever video on Levi Loves Reviewing, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Ender-3 V2, and I'm telling you now, this printer is actually insane. So without further ado, let's get straight into the cinematics. Right, I'm only joking, they weren't really good cinematics. So let's get straight in. So this is the Creality Ender-3 V2. It is an absolute beast of a printer. It runs off a standard kettle lead, a 3-pin. There's many versions of the Ender-3 3D printers, but to be honest, this is my first ever 3D printer that I have owned, and it is actually insane. So let's get straight into it. So this is your print bed. This is where all your prints go. I know you can see all the marks, that's because I didn't level my bed properly once. So when you first are going to use your printer, you'll get your filament spool holder and you'll place it up here and you'll put your filament on there. I haven't brought it down with me today, but I will show you if this video gets over 100 views. So this is the hot end, and if I go down below, you might be able to see the hot end. Yep, there you go. That right there is the hot end, and that is where the filament dispensers to make something, whatever you want to make. Now, software wise, I would definitely recommend using Cura. Now, Cura is the best software to pretty much slice with. Slice, by what I mean by slice is you can download a model off the internet, customise your own settings for the model or customise the model and slice it, which basically means you can use it on your own 3D printer and your printer will print that. So without further ado, I'm sorry I keep saying that, this is where your filament gets rotated. If I take this off, you can see there is 2 gears in there. These 2 gears spread the filament all the way through the white tube, goes down into the hot end eats it up, and it comes out and makes you print. So there's that bit. Your filament, as you can see, I've still got a bit here from where I cut the last lot off. Your filament, to load your filament, you squeeze. I don't know if you can see, but there is a button here with a spring, and you squeeze this, push your filament in, but you've got to cut your filament on a 45-degree angle, and it goes straight through the tube and through. Now, this is your print bed, as I've said earlier, and whenever, like every 5 to 10 prints, you're supposed to level this, and here is the dials what you level them with. There's 4 dials. The print bed size is 220 by 220 by 250. The printer can work online through Wi-Fi, like wired, or it can work offline running off your SD card. There is a must. When you buy filament, it can either be, if I show you on here, sorry my hand's in the way, if I show you on here and I go to prepare, you control it with this little dial here, and you can go down. So you can use PLA, ABS, and so let's get into this. This is a must, your filament must be 1.75 millimeters. The printer itself weighs 7.8 kilogram. It can print in PLA, TPU, PETG. Now, if I go down to control using the dial, and when you want to select something, you just press it in. I can control the temperature from here, so I can choose the nozzle temperature. Right now everything's set to 0, as you can see. I can choose the nozzle temperature, the bed temperature, the fan speed. I don't know if you can hear it, I'll try and get a sound of the fan, it is very silent. I don't know if you heard that. We've got preheat PLA settings, preheat ABS settings, The motion, this is how fast everything moves, you don't really want to mess with that. Storage configuration, that's all your settings being saved. Read configuration, that's all your settings being read. And reset configuration in case you do anything wrong. Now, if I go to info, now this printer is actually really good because it does have silent steppers and motor drivers. So that basically means it won't make that much of a noise. The motherboard is actually pretty good. So if I show you the info, you can get the contact details at the bottom. This firmware version is version 1.0.2, and as you can see the bed size, like I told you earlier, 220 by 220 by 250. Now the good thing about this printer is, as you can see, my printer has a bit of a gap between the bed, but you can actually move the printer. So as you can see, we've got move X, move Y and move Z, and the extruder turns this filament extruder, and it goes through the hot end. So if I go to move Z and I move it forward, I've just clicked and I'm scrolling along. So if I keep moving this forward, you will see one of these will start to move, and it is the hot end. So if I move this to about, let's say 71.4, keep an eye on the hot end and it will move when I press OK. So I'll just press this button in and it's moved. Move Y is, I think, let's take this down a bit, sorry guys. So 84, this will move it up. Oh no, this will move the bed, sorry. If we go to move Z, this will raise up. So now if I go to this, we will see it starts to slowly rise. As you can see, it's starting to slowly rise. Now, some problems you may encounter. We built this from scratch, pretty much, apart from the kit. The problems that may arise is you can put stuff on backwards, let's just say that. Yeah. But hold on, I will show you another little handy thing that Creality supply you with. So if I move that back, move this back. Now, the good thing about Creality printers is, on most printers they have a Z stop switch, and this is the Z stop switch here, this little metal thing that you can press in. Now, when the printer goes too low, it stops it from going any lower. Now, they also supply a little drawer, which I think is actually really cool, with the Ender-3 Printer V2. So, as I was saying, if I go down here, you can see that on the left there is focus, sorry guys. On the left there is an SD card slot, and on the right there is a USB port. Now that is for connecting it to your PC and using it via wired connection. This blue dial here loosens the belts, so it depends how, sorry guys, it depends how tight your belts are, how fast everything moves. Another blue dial there, as you can see. Now, why won't it focus? Oh no. Now, this drawer, as I was saying, can pull out. Now, if you pull this drawer out, it can come all the way out. So, if I put this drawer here, this little piece of paper is what I have my temperatures at. I have the nozzle at 189 degrees and I have the bed at 63. In your first packet that Ender supply you will get an Ender-3 V2 English USB adapter. Now I'll be back in a minute when I get this out of the packaging, guys. Right, I'm back, guys. So, as you can see, you get this USB reader. Now, you can pull the lid off, so if you give me a second. There we go. Now, the USB part here goes into your PC. So you do need a PC to really run this with internet connection. And your SD card goes into this side. The SD card does come supplied by Ender, but if you want to upgrade it to a 256GB one, you can. But you've got to make sure you get the right size. Now this SD card goes into there and you can show all your models. So I'll be back in a second when I've loaded all my models up. Right guys, so I'm back in a minute. But I do want to show you this print. As you can see, when I click on print here, there is no files. But I do really recommend turning the printer off, but for purposes I'm just going to put the SD card in while the printer's on. So you saw there was no files on. I'll plug the SD card in, it just clips in. We go to print, and now you see I've got all my models. Pikachu, Gun Left, 3D Benchy, all these I've pretty much either made myself or downloaded online on the internet. And this SD card can actually store quite a lot. So if you give me a second, as you can see, I will just push in the SD card and it will pop out. I will be back in a second, guys. Now then, a few other things that Ender will supply you with is some new filament. I don't know what to call them, but you see this gold screwing thing, I don't know what to call it, sorry. You screw it in, so if that ever goes, anything ever happens to that one, like you need to change the tubes, you have got a bag of spare, and the little blue ring does need to go on there. But some of the main problems that occur with the Ender is this white tube can shake a lot, and that affects the performance. Now I would recommend upgrading the extruder, which is this part here, to a metal one. It is way better than the plastic one that Ender supply. This QR code here is to Ender's Facebook. Now, Ender do supply you with a bunch of tools. These are the tools that they get set up with. So you get some wrenches, and if you ever get stuck, like filament isn't going through, like I need to push that bit through when I preheat it, I will use my little knife thing, but it is pretty bent because we have been doing it quite a lot, because this printer is a bit of a pain sometimes. So what we're going to do now is I will show you some more detail about the printer. So let me just see. The layer thickness should be 0.1 to 0.4 millimeters, so that is quite a bit from the bed. But if I try and go level with the bed, you should see that there is still some bits on there that I haven't got off yet. A wash should do coming off, like a bit of fairy liquid and stuff could get that off. But what I would recommend doing, upgrading the bed to a non-stick plastic one. And when you're doing prints, the bed does get sick to 60 degrees, but don't touch it because that's what loses the stickiness. Now, the print precision should be 0.1 millimeters, and the hotbed temperature says 100 degrees, but I keep it at 60 because it burns the bottom of your prints if you don't. So, not only does this have silent stepper drivers on motors, but let's get more into this screen. I'm sorry guys, right, so the screen is a 4.3 inch HD colour screen. It is, because if you compare the Ender-3 V2 to the older models of Ender, you will actually see that it's a lot different, the screen. Because if you actually want, you can actually pull the screen up. Hold on. Oh, no I can't. But if I show you from back here, it has got some brackets that hold it on, and you just push it up. But I don't want to really risk breaking it right now, because it did cost a lot of money, but I will show you. I'll put links in the description and everything that you need to know about the printer. Many people give feedback about the printer, and from what I've heard, they've said that the screws or other small tools are often lost. So what I would recommend is getting your own set of tools. But again, this toolbox is actually very helpful for people because it stops things from getting lost. So if you have a look in there, I don't know if you can see, but it is literally just a bit of a gap. So, and then your toolkit can just slide literally straight back into there. So, oop, and it clips in. That won't come out without a bit of force. So, hold on guys, I'll be back in a second. I just need to read some more of my information. I do sincerely apologise. Right, so back with more information about the printer. For one thing that I am going to show you, as you can see, the printer is plugged in and on. Right, and it looks like it's on, which it is. But the main problem people find out is they plug the printer in, they plug it into the back of the socket, which you also need to check the voltage back here that it's set to your UK, which is 240 volts, or your USA, which is 115, I believe. But the main problem people have, they plug it into the printer, they plug it into the socket. What happens? The printer doesn't turn on. Now, because the printer may not turn on, because there is a switch back here, like there, and when you press that, it turns on. So if my hand is on the switch, so if you look at the printer, I'm just going to turn it off. Give it a couple of seconds, my hands are here, and it's off. What I would recommend doing is finding a good workspace for this up in an open vented area, because it can get really hot and clammy. Now this printer has a new developed silent motherboard. This motherboard is a stronger anti-interface, faster and more stable motion performance, silent printing and low decibel operation. Now, so you won't really hear it. Therefore, when you print a model at night, please don't worry about it. It won't disturb your rest. But what I am telling you is, please, please, please do not fall asleep with a printer like this on, because I don't know if you've seen it on the news or anything, but printers can get really hot, overwork themselves and set a fire. I won't really put you off from buying an Ender-3 V2 printer, because I'd say they're one of the most reliable companies to speak to. Like, say if you ever had encountered an issue, you could go to Ender's website, or you could comment on one of the forums, and another Ender-3 V2 printer could either tell you some more about your issue, like tell you how to troubleshoot and what to go through and stuff like that. But yeah, it's really good. Ender sends you a year warranty. Now the first week, I think they covered just like everything. The first 3 months they cover your power supply, and for the full year I think they covered just the screen, power supply and the hot end and the motors. So that's a pretty good bonus when you buy from. Now the website I bought this from was called Creality .co.uk, I think. I'll leave a link in the description so you can go check it out, but they do a discount, which I find is really great. Now this bed is, I mean, it is non-stick, it says, but I think I don't know actually, because it does help it stick, but the only issue is when you're trying to take a print off, you can't really get it off. Like, the first time I ever unboxed this printer and got it out, I made this model here, and this one on Ender settings that came preloaded on the SD card, and this took around 3 hours to make, so it is pretty time consuming, but it is worth it depending on what you're making. This Ender-3 V2 printer also has a power outage feature, so say if you're 3D printing in bad weather and the printer cuts out, what could happen is when the electricity comes back on, the printer is that smart that it can actually resume print, which I find absolutely amazing. Now, the platform, which is the hotbed, enables heat to build up quicker and prints adhere better without warping. So you will see the ultra smoothness even on the first layer of the model. So as you can see, there is various prints that I have tried doing on the printer, and some of it has burnt in because I didn't level my bed like an idiot. Now, what I do want to say is, Ender themselves have said these exact words. Creality Ender-3 V2 3D printer has the same delicate appearance as the DIY 3D printer kit Ender-3. Now, I don't really get that, but the only thing that I can tell they have upgraded is mainly the screen, silent motors, and maybe the power supply and the drawer there. I don't get me wrong, I do think it is a really good printer, but there is some downsides, and I have listed the downsides, so I'm not going to go over them again. Also, you can buy a BL Touch, which will go to the side of your 3D printer and it helps you level the bed more. But personally, I think for the future, if Ender 3D, like Creality, see this, please try and come up with one way to make the printer auto level itself, because I find it quite annoying that you've got to auto level the printer, put A4 paper underneath and turn the dials. My dials don't really work some of the time, so it's really hard to work with. But I hope Creality see this. I hope loads of you guys see this. I hope you like the review. Please subscribe, like the video, comment if you like what you see, or tell me what I can improve on. Tell me if everything's good with the video. Tell me what you'd like to see next. Again, if any brands want to reach out, go to the About section on my channel and email me on that email. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Please subscribe, it'll mean the world to me. Thank you very much. This is Levi signing out. Goodbye.